What's up, everyone? All right, so today's episode, I'm going to break down all of my trades from the morning. Now, the stock that I made the most money on, as of right now, is up 80% on the day, but interestingly, it's got no news, no clear catalyst. But what this stock does have going for it is a clean, relatively clean daily chart and kind of a lack of anything else moving, which even though on a day with better setups, maybe that had news, probably this one would get ignored. But today, for lack of anything else, it's got the spotlight. And so it's getting some attention. It's getting a little bit of momentum, but it's felt like a bit of a headwind. It's felt like trying to swim upstream. Like it's not opening up. It's not pulling away. And it's gotten me to the point where I say, you know what? I think I'm going to tap out. I'm worried that I'm running the risk of catching a jackknife. So let's jump onto the chart and start breaking down this stock. Okay, so the ticker is PAPL. Pineapple Financial. Nothing makes you take a financial company more seriously than when it's called Pineapple. So Pineapple Financial, not to be confused with Pineapple Express, which is the strain of cannabis in that movie with Seth Rogen. Don't confuse it with that. This is a serious company. It's called Pineapple Financial. All right, so now that we've got that squared away, the stock, as I said, currently up over 80% on the day. It does have a history of making some big moves. You can see this squeeze back here, but a red candle, sold off. Then it pops up again here, green candle, but a large topping tail. So I connected the tops of these two candles on the daily chart to identify where this would cross into today's price action. And I drew a blue line right here at about this apex point, which is a little over $6 a share. So I identified that as a level of potential resistance. Now, the stock is above its 200 moving average. It's above the 20, it's above the 9. And so when we look to the left and up to see resistance, the next spot I noticed was right here about 490. And wouldn't you know that this morning it squeezed right up to just under that level, and then it pulled back. It comes back up, pulls back. Back up, pulls back. Back up, pulls back. And this is the formation of what we call a flat top breakout. Now, typically, in order for a flat top breakout to go to the upside, you need a pretty clean 5-minute setup. In this case, the 5-minute setup did bounce right off the 9 EMA, bottoming tail. Bottoming tails are bullish, and it was able to break through the high, but notice how the MACD went negative. The moving average convergence divergence indicator went negative right here, and for that reason, I told myself, I just don't know if I can trust this breakout. I certainly couldn't trust it with any serious size because of the MACD being negative. Although it did push a little higher up here to about 522, it didn't explode. And it certainly didn't get up to that 619 level that I kind of optimistically thought maybe we would see. And so what you now see happening is a high volume red candle. Look at that. Look at that. This is high volume selling, traders bailing out, giving up on it. And now what does this do to the 5-minute chart? Well, sadly, it kind of ruins it. So here's how I felt coming into the day today. It's obviously Friday. We've come to the end of what has been a fairly, well, I don't want to be too pessimistic, but a fairly disappointing week. This is not a week that I'm going to, be able to write home about. Look, honestly, the last 2 weeks have been more or less break even, which is kind of discouraging, right? So when did things kind of slow down? It was right the end of July. I had a couple nice green days, but then gave back a bunch on that day, made it most of it back, and then another red day. And then, sort of chipping away here this week, making back a bit, look, my account is out of the drawdown as of right now. So I'm currently back to all-time highs, right? So the account's way kind of up here. If we look at this just for the last 30 days or whatever, you'll see I was in a drawdown, went down about 55,000, 60,000, came almost all the way back up. Last Friday, lost 44, and then this week been kind of, making my way back up. So over just the last 2 weeks, from the 28th through today, 28th through today, let's see how much I'm up. Refresh. $9,000 over the last 2 weeks. Average daily gain only $1,000. Profit loss ratio, $5,000 winners, $5,000 losers. That's 1 to 1. What's the accuracy? Only 52%. You compare that to year to date with accuracy of 71% and a 2-to-1 profit loss ratio. And you can see that the last 10 days have been really tough. No question about it. So I attribute that in a large part to this sort of shift that we've seen in the crypto markets. In the headlines, the crypto headlines in the US small cap market, which kind of, as I said yesterday, got overplayed, overdone, and has resulted in those setups not working and people kind of losing faith in those crypto headlines. BNC today tried to pop up. Can't trust it. EMPD. This one was VLCN. You just unfortunately cannot trust these stocks right now. So we're in definitely a low period. And the most important thing for me is to reduce my size. So as I sit today, I'm only up $1,100. This, you could practically call it a break-even day for me because I really don't have anything to show for today. So I'm going to show you one of the things that I like about Lightspeed here. So if I pull up this window here, I'm going to go to trading. I'm going to go to warnings, and you can see right here how I can set a warning on my share size. Max position size, 25,000 shares. Max quantity, 25,000 shares. Now, typically, sometimes, so by default, I have this at 100. So 100,000 shares, just like that. So it can take 100,000 and not more than that. Now, there's a couple times this year where I've traded cheap stocks, $1.50, $2 a share, $3 a share, and I'll move this up to 200,000. And that's been the most I've gone this year. And that's only been on really cheap stocks. So generally, I've set it at 100. The problem is, in this kind of market, it's very easy to jump into something and just keep pressing that buy button. And next thing you know, you've got 50,000, 75,000, 100,000 shares, and you have given in to emotion. You got stubborn. You got frustrated. You saw that seller at, 480, and you said, you know what? Screw it. Someone's selling shares. I'm going to buy them. Buy. Next thing you know, that seller doesn't break, and it flushes all the way down to 4. And on 40,000 shares, you're down 80 cents a share, right? You're down $36,000 or $32,000, and it's not fun. And that's happened to me. So adding some guardrails, thanks to the broker, is helpful because in the moment, sometimes in those moments, I get caught up in my emotion. So I change those settings, and then what I do is I log out of the platform, I save it, and then those settings are saved. So the next time I log in, it's preserved. So first trade of the day today was SPRU, and I made $120 on it, barely enough to buy groceries. So SPRU, this stock pops up pre-market, pulls back. I jumped in right here. I was like, yeah, this looks good. 5-minute setup. Nope, doesn't work. All right, so that's a no-go. Jumped into that, jumped out of that. Next trade was ATNF. Took 10,000 shares, made 4 cents a share, $438. That was it. That was right in here. As it was squeezing up, it then rolled over and dropped about $1 a share. Not good. That's not what you like to see. So that was disappointing. Then BTAI at the open, traded this here for the squeeze higher, got caught holding a little too high, flushes down, lost 3,000, put me down 2,500 on the day. And then PAPL was my savior, getting me back to green on the day, but only by $1,100. And that for me, I was like, it's just not happening. The best potential for today was a Friday wild card move, which sometimes happens. You get a sort of Friday surprise move, and because nothing else is moving, that stock ends up getting more attention than usual and does really well. Unfortunately, sentiment today is still a bit on the weaker side, and we weren't able to get that kind of move. And what is interesting is that the overall market, which is good news for those of you guys who have long-term investments, has been rallying this week. We sold off, as you know, on Thursday, Friday of last week, but now this week we've been rallying back up. So, that's a good thing. And if the market can get back through the highs, that's going to be a good thing. And if the price of Bitcoin can get through new highs, that's also going to be a good thing. Bitcoin obviously being a speculative asset, small caps being a more speculative asset class as well, they seem to trade a little bit more closely together. So, are things going to get better next week? Well, here we are. We've come to the end of the first full week of August, and I don't have much to show for the month, right? So let's look at, let's pull up my P&L just for August. It's not going to be that impressive. I'm ashamed to even show it to you, but I took an oath as a teacher here and as an educator that, unlike most people, I would be transparent. I would show you the gains and the losses. And so as I sit on the month here, I'm at $14,970.14, barely enough to buy groceries. Well, now maybe that's not true, but it's not what I intend. That's not the goal that I set for myself. In fact, it's well short of it. I had a goal of $1 million for the month of August. Wow, that's an aspirational goal. And I am $985,000 shy of that goal as of right now. So not great. And the problem here is that going into the second week, next week, I don't have a cushion to be aggressive. I still have to be on the defense. I've still got to be really careful. My profit loss ratio has not been good. Today is not really that much better. Accuracy, it's just right now, things are in a lull. So I've got to be really careful. And so next week, the approach will be to be defensive, to try to lock up some base hits, build a little cushion. And then maybe going into the third week, if I have a cushion, I could take a little bit more risk, third and fourth week. But I don't know if it's going to come together. This may end up being an entire month where I'm just kind of behind the ball. And it's just a survival month. So survive till you thrive. Keep your head above water. Not every single day is going to be a big green day. Some days, if you can just preserve your equity, that's the best thing you can do. And cash is a position. You don't have to trade if you don't see good quality setups. Now, I tend to trade just about every day. And to be honest, today, nothing was a good quality setup compared to some of the moves that we've seen, 3 weeks ago or even 2 weeks ago. So I'm grasping at straws a little bit. I should probably try to be a bit more patient. And if I could do that, I think I could avoid some unnecessary losses. So, I finished the week here reflecting on the fact that I probably took a bit too much risk. I did take a trade on the Fly IPO yesterday, and I made $17,000 on it. Or it was maybe $14,000 on it. But, this wasn't a particularly good trade either. It wasn't a particularly good IPO. It did dip and rip, but it was nothing like Figma, which, so it's just right now, it's the time to study. It's the time to be more conservative. If you're a new trader, I would say keep trading in the simulator until you see some big money traders, perhaps like me, starting to throw down some good numbers. And then that might be a time to dip your toe back in real money. But right now, trade in the simulator. This is a choppy environment. So pay your dues, practice. And then when the market does pick back up and you start to look around, you see some people making some good money, then you'll be better prepared to capitalize on it. And you won't be coming into that hot market at a deficit where your account's in the red and you're feeling emotional and you're feeling frustrated. So that's probably the best thing you can do right now. Now, again, the good news at Warrior Trading, we offer a simulator for our members to use. It's got real-time level 2 data. You can trade side by side with me, but it's pretend money. So it's a safe environment. When you trade in our simulator, we will aggregate all of your trading data for you so you can see these types of metrics. Your profit loss ratio, how much you're up, how much you're down, your accuracy, the type of stocks you make the most money on. And the benefit of that is you get to data mine your own trading history and learn, what am I doing that's working and what needs some improvement. So spend some time this weekend studying your metrics. If you've been trading somewhere else, you could always use TraderView, this website that I use here, and you can go and import your trades. I've been using this now. I've got 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So I've got 10 years of trading data in this software. And you can add from dozens of different brokers. Doesn't make any money for me. Warrior Trading Simulator is available. You could use it for that, but you don't have to. But TradeStation, Thinkorswim, all of these brokers, E-Trade, whatever, are available. And I just think it's great software. So I'm not getting paid to tell you that. I use the software because for me, I feel like it gives me an edge. It helps me better understand what I'm doing that's working and where I need improvement. So, if we look right now, just at the last 2 weeks, again, so what could we observe from the last 2 weeks that I'm doing that's working or that's not working? So what I would do if I were you is I would pull up your metrics and start big picture. All right, so total P&L, am I green or am I red? Average daily gain, 1,000, okay. Profit loss ratio, this would be my first red flag. It's not positive. The losers are slightly bigger than the winners. Accuracy, only 52%, that seems low. So, a couple red flags there. Then we start to get into a little bit more detail. Day of the week. Probably not anything to really, it's a small data set. So, probably just a big loss here on a couple trades at 8 a.m. I don't think I should stop trading at 8 a.m. I think that's just the luck of the draw in this case. Again, I'd say that's probably similar with price, although generally higher price stocks I don't do well on, so I should probably be careful. And lower price, I typically do well on. So, you kind of have to compare to sort of larger periods of time as well. Instrument, some of the stocks I've lost on. Now that's actually interesting on the volume. That's actually very unusual for me. That's interesting. Usually I do better if we look at a larger data set here. We look back just last 12 months, for instance. Usually I do better on higher volume stocks, but it seems in this little period I've done better on lower volume stocks. I wonder if it's that some of these higher volume stocks just in the last, 2 weeks have been very choppy. We've seen a lot more jackknife moves. We've seen a lot of big sellers. And, some of these stocks like Vape and VLCN that had the crypto catalyst, they had a lot of volume, but man, insiders had the news like before it came out. And so when the news came out, it was just a ton of selling. So I bet that's probably what's going on there. It's interesting, but I don't think probably super relevant, other than just sort of drawing that conclusion to be a little cautious on that particular catalyst. But nonetheless, looking at your metrics is important. And look, if you've been trading as long as I have, you may find that a 10-day period is an outlier. And just stick with what you know, stick with your strategy, and just simply scale down until things improve. Sometimes that's really the only change to make. Other times, there is more affirmative change of stop trading this price range or avoid this time of day. Don't trade, past a certain time of day. So look at your data, spend some time going through it this weekend, and make yourself a little kind of action plan of what I'm going to do differently next week to try to make it a little bit better. Regardless of how you finish this week, even if it was the best week of your entire career, I bet there's some things you could do next week to make it even better. So study up and let's get ready for Monday morning. Thank you guys as always for tuning in. Reminder, trading is risky. My results aren't typical, so please take it slow and practice in the simulator before you put real money on the line. And I'll be back at it streaming Monday morning, 7 a.m. for members here at Warrior Trading.